While crossing the street, I was caught in an accident where my body was thrown into the air. I couldn't see what was going around me, and as I tried to stand up, a woman on a bicycle with her child appeared in front of me. Appearing out of nowhere like that is troubling. "I have a child with me," she said, then left. I couldn't stand up, and my legs wouldn't support me. At that moment, another man who got out of his car came over and asked, "Are you okay? Do you have any head injuries?" But all I could do was shake my head. He called an ambulance, and I was taken to the hospital. My husband passed away 5 years ago at the age of 66. Since retiring at the same age as him, I've lived a quiet, simple life. Currently, I live alone in New York, but my second son and his wife, who live nearby, occasionally check on me. My eldest son, who works for a multinational company, leads a busy life but still sends flowers and gifts for my birthday and Mother's Day every year, a kind-hearted son, much like his late father. This year, when he turned 38 and expressed his desire to marry, I remembered the joy and reassurance I felt. The day has been set for my eldest son and his fiancée to come over for greetings. When I first met her, I felt that she was very sociable and well-mannered. I always prioritized my children's happiness and had a policy of not interfering in their lives, so there was no reason for me to oppose their engagement. The greeting went smoothly, and the conversation progressed well. However, due to the epidemic forcing public caution, we concluded the wedding will be held after the situation settles, and decided to just register their marriage for now. On the registration day, I went over to my eldest son's house with a wedding gift. "Thank you for coming today, Linda." The bride greeted me with a smile. "Oh no, thank you, please take this. It's my wedding gift," I said, handing over a set of dishes. I had already mentioned that I would help with the wedding costs, but I wanted to give something physical to commemorate their marriage registration. Her reaction was unexpected. "Oh, this is the wedding gift," she said, looking puzzled at what I handed her. Yes, I wasn't sure about the preferences of young people these days, so I asked a department store clerk, and they told me the brand Le Creuset is popular. "I hope you like it," I responded. I became worried that I hadn't met her expectations. Then, suddenly, the bride coldly said, "I can't believe you'd give such a cheap thing as a wedding gift." Despite the fact that the gift was moderately priced, I was shocked when she insisted. Normally, you should give at least $10,000 in cash as a wedding gift. I was bewildered by her drastic change in demeanor. Where did the polite woman from our initial greeting go? She further demeaned me by asking, "How are you managing your life now? Are you living off a pension?" When I honestly replied, "Yes, I live on a $1,150 monthly pension," she said in an insulting way, "Really? That little? Despite living in such a nice house? Well, that sucks." Her words shocked me and also made me sad. She sat down on the sofa and mockingly said, "How do you even live on $1,150 a month? Poor thing, it's a wonder you're still alive." I replied with visible discomfort, "I manage just fine." At that moment, she lightly taunted. "Well, if that's okay for you, there's no problem, but don't ask for financial help when you're in trouble." Her contemptuous tone deeply hurt my feelings. She further declared, "Don't expect our help. It's important to make things clear from the start, so please never rely on us." Though she seemed innocent at first, she turned out to be a terrible person with a duplicitous nature. Disgusted by her disdainful attitude, I quickly returned home. Still, I reminded myself, she's the person my son chose, and kept my opinions to myself, although my heart was always troubled. One day, while waiting at a traffic signal, I was suddenly hit by a speeding bicycle, resulting in a broken leg and requiring surgery and hospitalization. A guarantor was needed for the hospitalization. When I contacted my sons, my eldest immediately called back and said, "Are you okay? My brother and I are busy, so I'll send my wife right away." Honestly, I didn't want to see my eldest son's wife again, but I had no choice but to endure it. My second son and his wife both worked late, and with 2 children to care for, my eldest must have understood the situation and reached out on their behalf. I had heard that my eldest son often came home late, so with no one else to rely on, I had to ask his wife to come. When she arrived at the hospital, she was clearly displeased and complained. "It's such a pain in the butt to be called out so suddenly." I apologized softly. "I'm really sorry, but if you could just help with the paperwork, that should be fine." But she retorted, "Just because I'm a housewife doesn't mean I'm free." I expected her dissatisfaction, but her blatant attitude angered me. Then she brought up money again, asking, "You can pay for your own hospital fees, right?" While wondering why she assumed I was poor, I calmly replied, "Of course I will pay for myself. You don't need to worry about financial assistance." She signed the hospital and surgery consent forms with a smirk and handed them to me. Afterward, she smugly said, "Please don't involve me in such troublesome matters again." "I'm sorry, I'll ask someone else from now on," I told her. She readily agreed. That would be better. Just the thought of more care and hospital stays is depressing. "I won't look after you in your old age, as I've said before. Don't rely on me." Her rude and arrogant attitude made me feel even stronger that I didn't want any more involvement with her. I really couldn't wait for her to leave. I didn't want to be hospitalized, and I couldn't understand why I had to be criticized so much. "Don't worry, I'll arrange things in advance so that it won't be a hassle for my sons and their wives," I calmly replied. I didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble in front of the nurses and other patients at the hospital. It was unbearable, as if I were being shamed. It's interesting, isn't it? Watching a poor old lady living on a pension struggling, but don't worry. I'm recording this conversation. It's too late when you realize you can't get help from anyone. My son's wife sneered. Her words pushed me past my limit. Excitedly, she continued, "It would be troublesome to be called the eldest son's wife later on, so let's sever ties now. I'll keep the recording." I quietly asked her, "You can sever ties, but are you really okay with that?" She hesitated but nodded. "After that," I said, Please wait a moment, I'll record this too. And pulled out my smartphone to start the voice recorder app. I want to confirm again, are you really okay with us severing ties? I asked for confirmation. Stop being so noisy. Why does a poor person living on a pension act so high and mighty? Severing ties is fine with me, and you'll be the one to regret it. She answered. She might think that I can't manage on my own, seeing my modest single life, assuming I need my son's help. Understood. Let's sever ties then from now on. We won't contact each other, and I'll delete your number right here. I responded calmly. The reaction might have angered her as she stormed out, stomping her feet dramatically. I decided to stop assisting with the wedding costs and never wanted to see her face again. The exchange with my eldest son's wife was mentally draining. The next day, I underwent surgery and was discharged from the hospital 4 weeks later. After being discharged, I continued rehabilitation and led an independent life. During my hospital stay and rehabilitation, the resolve to live without relying on my eldest son's wife bolstered me, allowing me to focus on my recovery. Unexpectedly, my second son and his wife visited. I was grateful that my second son's wife frequently helped with daily shopping. Thank you for taking the time. Despite being busy, don't overdo it, I said. There's no need to hold back. I'm happy to help, responded my second son's wife cheerfully. Her kindness really touched me. Having such a caring person in contrast to my eldest son's wife's behavior only increased my discomfort when I remembered the latter. Since then, I haven't had any contact with my eldest son's wife. I refused to attend the wedding and formally communicated this to my eldest son. I don't foresee any future interactions with her. 3 weeks after my discharge, as usual, my second son's wife came to visit. She normally arrives by car, but that day she showed up wearing a large backpack. Sorry I'm late, my car broke down, she explained with a smile. Oh my. That must have been difficult. I always appreciate your help, but how did you manage to come today? I asked, to which she responded with a laugh. I came by train. It's easier to handle everything with a backpack since I'm bringing a week's worth of groceries. Isn't it hard to get to work without a car? I asked worriedly. She grimaced slightly and said, Yes, it is, but buying a new car would be quite expensive. On the spot, I suggested, Then, let me buy you a new car. What? No, I can't accept that, she exclaimed, strongly refusing the offer. Her reaction was endearing and clearly different from others. It's okay. I've received a lot of help from you, so please take this as a token of my gratitude. If that's still not acceptable, maybe you could occasionally take me shopping until I'm fully healed. I proposed again. She smiled warmly and replied, Are you sure that's okay? If so, I gratefully accept your offer, on the condition that I become your personal driver after your recovery. I smiled, feeling content. Then, I gifted her the new car she desired. My second son's family continued to look after me and visited often. The unpleasant memories with my eldest son's wife began to fade amidst these peaceful days. My rehabilitation went well, and I recovered surprisingly quickly. Normally, it takes 6 months for someone your age to return to everyday life, but your recovery in 2 months is remarkable. It's all thanks to your efforts in rehabilitation. I was praised for my rehabilitation success. By that time, I was well enough to go shopping with my second son's wife. One day, while relaxing and watching TV at home, the sudden sound of the doorbell interrupted me. I saw on the monitor that it was my estranged eldest son's wife standing there. Curious about her business, I opened the front door. As soon as I did, she confronted me loudly. "What do you think you're doing?" Appalled by her usual rudeness, I calmly responded, "What are you talking about? I don't understand why you're yelling at me." She grew even more agitated and exclaimed, "I saw your second son's wife the other day, in a new car." I was surprised and asked back, "And what about it?" "That car, it's a luxury model that costs $70,000. It's impossible for a normal working family with 2 children to buy a new car like that. When I pressed them, I found out you provided it." She accused vehemently. A bit perplexed, I responded calmly, "Indeed, I did give that car as a gift. I simply wanted to express my gratitude for the many times she has helped me with shopping and coming over when I needed help. Why does this concern you? We are supposed to be estranged, aren't we? Why do you give nothing to me, but only to the wife of your second son?" She complained, I countered. "That's because she has helped me with shopping, assisted with housework, and supported me without ever showing displeasure before I even ask why should I give a present to you who has done nothing and with whom I've severed ties." She mumbled, then said, "But how could you, supposedly poor, afford a new car that costs $70,000? You shouldn't have that kind of money." I sighed and replied, "When did I ever say I was poor? I have income from real estate inherited from my husband." Surprised, she looked as if she had just witnessed something unthinkable. I explained calmly to her. "My husband was an office worker, but he made a decent income, and we invested in real estate now. I own 4 apartment buildings, and the rental income from these properties comes in steadily every month." She listened with even greater surprise as I continued. "Therefore, I am not struggling financially if necessary. Selling these properties could yield a substantial sum if sold at a good market time. It might even reach millions. Even a quick sale would surely bring in several $100,000. I detailed the potential figures. Hearing the amounts, she reacted as expected. "Hundreds of thousands of dollars? If you have so much money, you should have said so earlier," she exclaimed. I posed a simple question. "Why should I have to do that?" Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water as she continued. "You always wear plain clothes and eat simple meals. You look just like a poor person." Further, she openly expressed her anger. "I can't forgive you for deceiving me like this," I calmly rebutted. "It's embarrassing to boast about wealth, so I do not do such things." Watching her emotions ebb and flow, I began to find the situation somewhat amusing. With a bit of sarcasm, I told her, "What a pity had I passed away. Perhaps I could have left something for you too, but since you chose to sever ties, that won't happen now." Her anger was palpable as she demanded, "Why would you say that? If you have money, share it. Give me a gift while you're alive." It was embarrassing to see such behavior from someone who was 30 years old. I directly asked her, "Why do you need money so urgently?" She answered without hesitation, "Because I want to have fun. I want branded goods, and I want to spend it on cosmetics. I want to travel abroad and drive luxury cars." Her reasons sounded like those of a child. I was just astounded by her response. Moreover, she began to complain about my eldest son, her husband. "I only get $2,500 a month from him. That's hardly enough to buy luxury brands. Can you believe how stingy he is?" She continued, "I married him thinking he earned $230,000 a year, but I didn't know he would be this stingy." Her words made it clear that she had married for money. Really, why should I have to marry a nearly 40-year-old man if not for the money she boldly stated in front of me, her mother-in-law? I could not tolerate her demeaning my son like that. It was at that moment. "Then let's divorce," a calm male voice said from behind. I turned around and there was my eldest son standing. Hearing his voice, his wife was at a loss for words. "What, why, how are you here?" she stammered, unable to hide her surprise. "I heard from Mom that she wouldn't attend the wedding, and I got worried. It's been a while since we've seen each other," he replied quietly. His tone conveyed his anger. Whenever he gets angry, he speaks in a controlled, calm manner. Sweating profusely, his wife fumbled for words. This isn't well, you see." Surprised yet grateful he came, I asked, "You came for me? How long have you been here?" Since I heard her say she thought we were poor and couldn't understand why you would have such a car, he replied. Calmly, I said, "Then, there's no need for further explanation. That's the situation." My son nodded silently, acknowledging the truth laid bare before him. Desperate, his wife continued to plead. "No, this isn't true. It's a misunderstanding. You mentioned money was your motive. I have the recording as evidence. Should I play it for you? I refuse to marry someone that has such ill intentions. I will proceed with the divorce. If you object, I'll meet you in court." My eldest son calmly said. Afterward, he firmly grasped her arm and declared, "I will formally apologize and take her back with me right away," then led her away. They subsequently divorced. The marriage was short-lived. No division of property occurred. It seems her frivolous spending led to the final decision. Her parents were so disgusted by her actions that they decided to disown her. She now works part-time at a deli to make ends meet. A few days after my son's divorce was finalized, the person who hit me and their spouse came to apologize. This accident was captured by a dashcam in a nearby car, which led to police involvement. After the police visited, she realized the gravity of the situation and reflected seriously for the first time, facing the possibility of a hit-and-run charge. I told her, You were driving with your child, so please be more careful this time. I only suffered a fracture, but if a car had been involved, both you and your child could have been in great danger. Please reflect on this. A year has passed since then. I heard my eldest son is dating someone new. Initially, I was a bit worried, but after meeting her, she seemed very calm and serious. She made a good impression. As a parent, all I desire is for my children's happiness. I hope my eldest son can have a happy family life, but I don't believe marriage is everything. There's no need to rush. I want to watch their relationship mature over time. Today, I'm out shopping with my second son's wife. Lately, this has become one of the most enjoyable moments for me.